not inherently good. It's not inherently bad, but it is inherently contradictory. The Library of Black Lies is both a library and a labyrinth. I wanted to produce some troublesome juxtapositions between knowledge as something that has power in itself and knowledge as something that can be harnessed for political purposes. I'm constantly trying to figure out how you could talk about big ideas, but through images that are somewhat familiar. This is a big rig truck that's crashed into the side of a church. This is like a collision of belief systems, right? The reason why I use mirror is because I try to use materials that have certain properties that trouble things, and it forces you to contend with the fact that you're reflected in it somewhere.
Leong is an architectural practice by definition, but we are interested in the kind of cultural resonance that architecture can have. Topo is a uniquely Leong project because we're taking a familiar material, essentially foam rollers, and reappropriating it or reorganizing it to create a slightly unfamiliar environment.
At Leong, we're really interested in collaboration and design at all scales, from the scale of the city down to the scale of the object. Topo is really about creating a contrast to the intensity of the city and the intensity of our everyday life.
And when we look at materials, we're really interested in finding something that's kind of weird and unexpected. We're trying to create an environment of possibility and potential, not necessarily directing people to have a certain type of experience.
I take on whatever role I need to get my idea into the world. I create my own structures outside of established conventions. I work from the margins. I privilege my ignorance. I think in public.
The show is called Fact and Trouble. The massive amounts of kind of sounds and videos and images that we have access to now kind of constitute a public imagination that we can kind of draw from.
I value integrity the most. When somebody has sort of their own vision or their own kind of ideas about things, and regardless how I feel about that vision, if they are committed to it, I really respect that. I guess I use pre-existing cultural signifiers to create a meaning. So I'll use things that are already sort of circulating.
I'm interdisciplinary. Sometimes the designer, the writer, the filmmaker, the entrepreneur, working across mediums towards the collapse of boundaries.
This museum is an amazing museum. I mean, it's a dream place to work. It's the second largest African-American museum in the country after the Smithsonian. The mission of this institution is to open minds and change lives because we tell the story of who we are as a people. We include art as well as history, as well as performing arts, theater, we include science, we include everything to tell that complete story of African-American history. So I think that artists have been among the first and among the loudest groups of people to really talk about the haves and the have-nots and the fact that there needs to be a much more inclusive growth in Detroit. Artists often tell us the truth, even when we don't want to hear the truth. Culture Lab is something that's really needed in this community and has really made a real imprint in the community. I think that, each year the audience grows, they're interested in the topic, but they also come to speak their mind. And that's the perfect place to be able to do it, and it's incredibly diverse.